Hello, welcome back to my tech farm. I'm Igor and I have another 3D printer review for this video, and this is Elegoo Neptune 3 Plus, and this box is sent to me by Elegoo in exchange for a review. I know another bed slinger, they have their advantages too, we'll talk about it a little bit later. Now let's see the specifications. This is very big, the biggest printer so far I tested, because it has a build volume of 320 and 320 in X and Y direction and 400 mm in Z. It has dual gear direct drive extruder, double Z-axis with two stepper motors, but basically with this size this is mandatory. Properly they are driven from the same stepper motor driver, but lead screws are connected with timing belts, so it will keep it in synchronized. It has auto bed leveling sensor, PEI magnetic blade flexible platform, 4.3 touchscreen. Now about the temperatures. According to the website, 260 degrees Celsius on the nozzle and 100 degrees Celsius on the bed. First, I'm very curious how fast will be the bed heating to 100 degrees Celsius because of this size. And the second, probably this has some kind of Teflon line hot end, so I wouldn't recommend you to use it above 240 degrees Celsius. But other specifications you can see on the website. Let's see what's in the box. Now during the time-lapse, few advantages of the bed slingers over the Cura XY printers. First of all, they are quieter, they have much simpler structure and it's easier for maintaining. Of course, there are some drawbacks too. For example, they need a bigger footprint on the desk and we are losing some speed compared to the Cura XY. This is content of the package. So we have pre-assembled base, this is the gantry and the stiffening rods which will give more stability to this gantry when it's mounted here with two bolts from the bottom. Power cable, spool holder, screen, and this is filament runout sensor. Sample PLA, well, you know my opinion about this kind of sample without spool, just make case of problems. USB cable, USB adapter, some spare nozzles, and plastic scraper. Okay, I really like this. Pliers and some tools and bolts for the assembling. And this is the user manual. Not too detailed, but the assembling should be very easy. Probably I can finish it in less than half hours. And immediately first step of installation. On TF card you can find the video with the installation instructions. First step is mounting the gantry to the base, and if I move the base to the edge of the desk, in that case I don't have to rotate the printer. The assembling is much more comfortable. Next step is assembling the screen holder. The screen will be holded with very strong magnets, and I'm connecting here the cables. Mounting the spool holder, and it will be held by two bolts from the top. And this is the filament runout sensor. It will be held with one bolt. Let's do some cable management. This is the cable holder for the hot end. I'm connecting this cable to the extruder, and now installing the stiffening rods, and the length is already correct. I already installed earlier on different printers this, but always had to fix the length. Here everything was prepared correctly. And then connecting the cables which was separated between the gantry and the base. And again my curiosity. And as always, let's take a look at what is inside. Only I have to remove 17 bolts. There is a fan, 17 bolts, and just to remind me, the longer screws goes on the top and the bottom line, the shorter ones on the left and right side. This is the power supply unit, quite big one. Output is 24 volts and 21 amperes. And here I can see some kind of MOSFET. I think this is the switch for the hotbed heating. The mainboard is a Robin Nano version 2.2, and as I predicted, we have 4 stepper motor drivers. This means one stepper motor driver is used for both Z stepper motors, but that's okay because they are connected with the timing belt. And these are high current wires. I cannot take them out easily, but I can see that they use ferrules. Well, at least this is the input and properly for the nozzle, because the hotbed is over this MOSFET here. Everything looks okay inside, and it's time to place back this plate and fix it with all 17 bolts. And now adjusting the V-slot wheels, as you can see, this one rotates very easily, and also this head wobbles. This is not the problem, because it is better if it is not tight in the factory, because if wheel stays in the same position for a longer period of time, it may have some micro deformation. Open end wrench on a static nut, and I will tighten it until I cannot easily rotate this wheel. So on y-axis we have 3 pairs of V-slot wheels. And look at this, 6 knobs to do the manual bed leveling. Yes, it has auto leveling sensor, but don't forget, first we have to do the manual bed leveling, and only when the surface is parallel with moving pad of the nozzle, only then we can use the auto leveling sensor, so it's the best if it doesn't have to compensate anything at all. If Elegoo would do some research, he would find that the most hated thing is the manual bed leveling between the beginners. And usually bed leveling is 4 leveling knobs and bolts. Now we have 6. Suggested to manufacturer from next version, try to use linear rods and linear bearings, maybe on this size 10 mm and not 8. In this case we don't have to mess with the eccentric wheels and nuts, and we don't have to do this manual bed leveling, so try to use some kind of fixed distancers here. There is no need if there is trusted auto leveling sensor. Okay. It's very hard. Okay, I tied the middle one. It's not an easy task, but not impossible. Well, so far it's very quiet, but of course all fans are shut down so far. Quick check moving of the axis, but it thinks the current position is the origin so far, and always I have to start moving to the positive values. X, Y, and Z. Okay, axis are moving correctly, and I can prepare it for the leveling. Let's do the first homing. Great. Let's start the leveling process. First it will do the homing. Then I can set the Z offset. And now I will do the manual leveling first, and only then I will do the automatic leveling. Confirm or cancel. Typo. Confirm. And this is what I don't like with this printer. Instead of 4, now I have 6 leveling knobs. This is a time lapse of 3.5 minutes, and after this operation the bed is parallel with the moving pad of the nozzle. Well, I need at least 3 times more than 4 knobs. And okay, please confirm. Okay, I'm confirming, and now it will do the auto leveling in 49 points. And the only problem is that we have this leveling springs, so by time they will be loose or tight or something like that, so we have to repeat this process after several months again. It's prepared. And now let's check the Z offset one more time with heated bed. And as you can see, I am using double paper because I'm not familiar with this sheet. I want to avoid that the filament will stick too good to it. Later, if necessary, I can lower the Z, but just to be careful, I'm using bigger distance here. Okay, it's ready for printing. And another message to Elegoo, so the sample filament should look like this and not this. Only this couldn't fit on this spool holder because of this flange. Okay, Elegoo, you won, so I will use your sample filaments. Metallic tweezers, it should be included in the toolkit. Print, and only 5 we have here, the Buddha. Yes. We have a preview, LED. Wow. The start is good, it's printing the brim now, only we cannot see too much from the printing because it's in shadow from these LEDs. Printed in 1 hour and 8 minutes. The vegetation is great, but I will wait until it cools down and then it should be easy to remove it. The bed cooled down. Oh. Well, this is just a sample file, but now I want to prepare the Cura and slice my own object. On internet I found the profile for the Cura. After copying those files into Cura folder, I can add the printer, and in the Elegoo folder we can see the Elegoo 3 Pro. I will just rename it and change the build volume, which is 320 by 320 millimeters in X5 and 400 in Z, and nothing else will be changed here. If this is your only printer, you can use the Elegoo Slicer, which is some kind of rebrand of Cura. No preview this time. When all fans are working, this is not a super quiet machine anymore. And unfortunately, the best view to the printing is from the back side. I didn't notice a runout from the filament. Let's continue with Polytera. I wanted to test the filament runout sensor, but later. Confirm. Well, at least we know that filament runout sensor works. And we know that the sample filaments are enough for Buta, but not for the Calibration Cube 2. Printing is finished and the adhesion is good until it's hot. I will again wait until it cools down. Interesting color combination, and the surface is very smooth. And the accuracy is also acceptable. Bench. Printing of the bench is in progress, but I cannot see too much from this extruder, which actually reminds me to some vehicle from the movie. And now measuring the noise from exactly half meters distance, and it will be added to my summary table. Approximately 51 decibels. Progress of the bench is good, but it will be finished without supervision. Good morning, overnight bench is finished. And it's completely removed from the print surface. Printed with Polytera PLA, and this bench looks great. Maybe except the first layer I could lower a little bit the Z offset, but otherwise it is perfect. Look at this clean overhang, probably from the thanks to the part cooling from the two sides, but absolutely no issues with this Benchy. Just some more printing with this Polytera PLA, because I like its matte color, and this is the element of the rolling dice. And it's printed. And it looks great. These small elements sometimes doesn't look good if the part cooling is not correct. But this looks great. And it will be a rolling dice like this one here. And it's time to print something big, and this will be from Polytera PLA in white color. Looking good so far, and this is approximately 15 hours printing. After 5 hours it's on 30%. After 8.5 hours printing is at 50%, and it's midnight, so I'm going to sleep now. Good morning. After 17 hours the printing is not finished yet, but it will be very soon. Printing is finished in 17 hours and 7 minutes. This is very popular object on Printables, but this is my first time I printed it, so I cannot really compare it, but I know what are the critical parts. It's this overhang here on the smoke and on the top of this sphere. And I can see a few strings here, but otherwise this is great printing. And now changing the filament, but still with PLA. This is the perfect first layer. With this printing I want to print this desktop trash can, because my youngest daughter thought she can use it as a chair. And I want to test the spiral vase mode printing. Is everything okay with it? Because some printers has a problem because of that power loss or some function. It may interrupt the smooth path of the printing. And I also noticed that the coordinate is not really in the center. Usually the purge line was left from this print surface, so 0, 0 coordinate is not on the build plate. And this trash can is not in the center. On the left side I have 82 millimeters. On the right side 94. I'll try to fix that later when I finish this printing. And it finally started with the spiral path printing. And the moving is smooth, there is no interruption, so everything looks okay with this spiral or vase mode printing. And this printing will take another 6 hours. And I also want to measure the power consumption, so this power meter was resetted before the start. And it's finished and the surface is perfect, there are no spots or any other problems on it. And for this printing it used 0.9 kilowatt hours. And I printed another one, and this one was printed with 120% speed from the default. Now let's fix that problem that the object is not in the center. I have 300 by 300 millimeter object here, and I printed it, and as you can see it is moved to the left side in X direction, but also it's not in the center in the Y direction. Okay, so from this printing we can see that the bed is leveled, but the printing is not in the center. So I measured I have to move it 5 millimeters in X and Y direction here. Maybe this problem is solved with the Elegoo slicer, but let's fix this in the Cura. So I'm going to the Manage Printer and I will add 2 lines to the Start G-code. Immediately after the homing, I will set this line to move to the 00 position. And then with this line, I'm telling that actually its position is -5 in XY direction. And then I slice again this the same object, and this time it is perfectly in the center. And we can see this in the top view too. And since this printer has a die dry extruder, I want to print something from TPU, and this is TPU 90, one of the softest polymerase filaments. And I want to wrap it, I'm missing this leg for this small tripod, but I will print all 3 because I want them to be in the same color, but also I want to see if there will be any stringing when the head moves between those 3 elements. And I will be very careful with this TPU because I set the bed temperature to only 40 degrees Celsius because TPU may stick too good to the PI. Printing is almost finished and I'm a little bit confused because I was expecting a little bit more stringing. Bed adhesion is great. Ah, perfect. Better than original. Let's measure the bed heating time. Our experience it is okay. It starts for 24 degrees Celsius. I'm not really sure how important is this data to others, but I was curious, so I decided to measure it. And the heating speed looks okay for this size of the bed. And if I have correct informations, the heating power of the bed is 250 watts over that MOSFET I presented at the beginning of the video. 100 degrees Celsius in approximately 7 minutes. That's good for this size of the bed. And now my final thoughts about Elegoo Neptune 3 Plus. Good printer, and not only for the price or because it has big volume, but I really like a lot of components on it, especially this very responsive touchscreen. Very good user-friendly interface, removable, and very good for the using too, like a smartphone. I really like this PI flexible plate. It works great, so the object sticks to it. When it cools down, it is very easy to remove it. But even if not, you can flex it, and with that very easy, you can remove the objects. Direct extruder works great. I can print TPU with speed of PLA, and it has part cooling from 2 sides. A little bit noisy for my taste, but works great. It has inductive sensor, which is more accurate than those mechanical sensors, and it can be faster, but I think this speed is not really used in this case. Dual Z-axis with 2 stepper motors, and we have this very rigid structure with these stiffening rods. Filament runout sensor, so for the price we really get a great printer. There are a few things which I didn't like here. I'm not sure is it so much expensive, the full-size SD card reader, because I really hate these small TF cards. and these leveling knobs. I'm not sure why they are forcing these springs and leveling knobs, and now instead of 4 we have 6 leveling knobs, and this is, for me at least, double the time at least until I level it manually. So I think if we have a trusted auto leveling sensor, the position of the bed could be fixed permanently. At least placing those stronger yellow springs instead of these, because I noticed from my experience a little bit too easy to rotate these leveling knobs, and by accident we can easily move them, and then we have to do the manual bed leveling too again. And my opinion about V-slot wheels, well, I think they are okay from my side on X and Z axis. But on Y axis for this printer, maybe it would be good to see linear rods with linear bearings, maybe 8 or maybe even 10 millimeter in diameter, because it is very uncomfortable to place the tension because it is very deep inside. Good news is that we have to do it once, and then if it was okay, then we don't have to touch it for a year or two. But yes, if they design a printer for beginners too, then these things may make the life much simpler. If you have other experience, flow lines in the comment section. Thank you for watching and happy printing!